Welcome to the season of self-love, your daily dose of inspiration and encouragement. I'm your host, Nyomi Banks, and I am thrilled to be here with you today. This podcast is brought to you by Ask Nyomi and Elevate Me Self-Discovery. Are you ready to elevate your mindset and embrace the power of self-love? Or have you come to the right place? Each day we'll dive into topics that will empower and inspire you on your journey towards self-discovery and personal growth. Whether you're looking to cultivate healthy relationships, boost your confidence, or find balance in your life, this podcast is here to support your every step on the way. We believe that self-love is the foundation of living a fulfilled and joyful life. And together we explore practical tips, insightful interviews, and transformative stories that will leave you feeling inspired and motivated. So join me Monday through Friday as we embark on this daily adventure of self-love. Tune into the Season of Self-Love podcast to start your day on a positive note and discover the limitless potential within yourself. Well, hello, my beautiful souls, and welcome back to the Season of Self-Love podcast. I am your host, Nyomi Banks, and today we are diving deep into a topic that touches many hearts, and that's healing beyond betrayal. We'll explore how to transform the pain of betrayal into a path of personal growth and discovery. Joining us is Jessie Torres. She's a remarkable transitional life coach who has empowered many to turn their deepest wounds into stepping stones for success. But before we get into her and speaking with her, let's take a quick break. And when we return, we'll get deep into it, all right? It's your girl, the goddess, Nyomi Banks, here on the Season of Self-Love podcast, and we'll be right back. What are some common barriers that prevent people from expressing? Hey, it's your girl, the goddess, Nyomi Banks, here from the Season of Self-Love podcast.
Yeah, I would say remorse. So shame and guilt is a very dividing emotional.
And these are one of the many amazing conversations that we have every day, Monday through Friday, right here on the Season of Self-Love podcast with myself, Nyomi Banks, as well as our resident therapist, Dr. Will Washington of Washington Wellness Institute. Come by.
The reality of our relationships with people.
Come by.
And a lot of times we're afraid of how people look at us. And so that compassion can't enter.
You can hit us on our website, the Season of Self-Love podcast.com. Let me ask you this, with the truth, is it... All right, well, welcome back to the Season of Self-Love podcast. I'm your host, Nyomi Banks, and joining us today is Jessie Torres. She is a remarkable transitional life coach who has empowered many to turn their deepest wound into stepping stones for success. And today's our mantra is from ashes of betrayal to new beginnings are born. How you doing, Miss Jessie?
I am fabulous. Excited to be here. Thank you, Nyomi.
Beautiful, beautiful. So before we get into your topic and talking with you today, I want to just get us grounded for a moment, just to center ourselves before, you know how we do it here. For anybody who's been listening, just to center ourselves before we get into this topic at hand, all right? So if you just will close your eyes, get comfortable. Let's start by taking a deep breath in and hold it for a moment. Now exhale slowly. Now I want you to imagine a gentle wave washing over you, carrying away your pain and bringing in peace. Now as you continue to breathe deeply, I want you to allow each breath to bring you more into this moment, filling you with calm and comfort. I want you to picture a path ahead. I want you to bathe in the warm and soothing light of a path of healing and acceptance. I want you to hold on to the serene image as you slowly open your eyes and you are ready to engage with our story today. All right, well, welcome back. Well, welcome, Jessie.
Thank you so much for having me.
It is truly an honor. It really, when I was reading part of your story, from your, I said I had to have you on. I thought you were very aligned and fit for this series right here. And for you to turn all of that pain into power.
Mhm.
Um, I love that. When I read your story and I know my story, I'm like, oh no, I truly have to, have it on. And even looking at you right now, it's like a light that's glowing.
Thank
Right,
you.
right,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just a light that's glowing, and I'm truly happy that we were able to reconnect. But I want to start by here. I want to, could you start by helping us to understand with betrayal what it really means and why it has been so hard?
Sure. I think that one of the biggest things, and for all of us, but women especially, is we're constantly looking for safety, right? We lose safety at a very, very young age. The minute, somebody takes our lunchbox and eats our favorite snack, it's just like, oh, a little bit of that hypervigilance. But for women especially, we're constantly assessing safety. And I think betrayal is that opportunity where you opened your heart, where you said yes to something, even though you might have been afraid, and you dove in.
Yeah,
And when betrayal happens, it's that now it's back to hypervigilance, and it's back to I can't trust anybody. And it's almost like the beauty of our ability to love and to give gets shattered a little bit.
yeah,
And we're just like, wow, like I opened to this and here's what I got. And so that's the story that can be written when it comes to betrayal.
that's powerful. So for you, your story, I mean, you've been through so many things. For you, how did you get there? How did you get there to where you started to heal beyond the betrayal that had happened throughout your life? Because it seemed like it was just one thing after the other for you, and it's just a pile up. So for you, it being so piled up there, how have you been able to peel those layers and get to where you at now?
Yeah, great question. Starting from, even infancy, right? The first betrayal was with my father. Then the second betrayal was with my mother. And then the next one is, actually before even my divorce was the loss of my older brother.
Mm,
I felt betrayed by God. You know
mm,
what I mean? I was like,
mm,
I don't, at this point, I was raised Catholic, and at the time I was Christian, but I was like, I don't know. Do you exist?
mm.
And if you do, I hate you for taking my brother. That's what,
Yeah,
happened.
you felt, yeah.
But then in the betrayal of, my relationship, um, coming to that place of complete apathy, like really just wanting somebody to blow the red light to be done, right?
Yeah.
And then coming out, an act of kindness is what got me the courage to be able to come out of that situation. That the minute that I could take a breath of life and decide that life was worth living, all from an act of kindness. I'm like, I don't even know what this is. I didn't know to call it kindness. I just knew that whatever it was, I thought if this feeling's available, then life is worth living. And it gave me that courage. Now, once I ended that relationship, it was so traumatic that it was from that created an insatiable hunger for me to understand. I wanted
Mm,
to understand why my father did what he did, why my mother did what he did, why my husband did what he did, and why I allowed it. Right.
mm,
And I started to go through my own therapy, go through my own healing, reading books. I never would read. I'd fall asleep at the first paragraph, and it was the book by Cheryl Richardson called The Unmistakable Touch of Grace.
mm,
And I don't remember the entire book, but I just remember the moment I read something in there that made me believe that I could have a different life.
mm.
So interesting. When you're in it, you just like, this is it. This is my life.
It is,
This is,
yeah,
what I chose, and I'm going to
yeah,
die in this marriage, and you don't think that there could be another way, or that
yeah,
you're entitled to deserve something
right,
that honors you. Right. And I remember reading like, wait, I don't have to believe that. I can believe differently. And then it was just give me more seminars, workshops, speakers, more of my therapy. And it got to a point where I actually told my therapist, I said, I want to do what you do, but that's a whole lot of school and a whole lot of time. And this is back in like 2005 at this point. And she's like, you should be a coach. And I'm
mm,
like, soccer coach? What are you talking about? Like, I didn't, it wasn't as big as it is now.
yeah,
And I started to look into it, and I found a school, Coaches Training Institute, which I loved because it had half online and half in person. I
mhm,
like a hands-on kind of person. And when I dove into that, as you learn coaching, you are healing yourself,
yeah,
it
mhm,
just peeling back the layers and peeling back the layers until I fell in love with it. I fell
yeah,
in love with knowing that any part of my story, if it inspired somebody, then all of it was worthwhile.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful. Just even hearing you talk about it, just in, just lately, just with these guests, it's just like just chills just all over my body. All right. So here's my next question. How can someone, now I just heard your powerful story. How can someone begin the process and acknowledge this pain to be able to get through it?
Well, one of the things that's great, I think, about our times now is that there's so much information. It's like it's the greatest gift and it's the greatest downfall because there's so much information. You don't know where to go, right? But I think the first part is honoring and recognizing that you are worthy of the life of your dreams,
Yeah.
that you matter, right? And you're valuable and you're precious and you're a gift from God, and that you matter enough that if there's a part of you that is in contraction constantly, if you're in constant hypervigilance, if you're in constant sadness and worry, if you're spinning in an emotional home that is depleting, then you deserve to take action. And there are so many people that care. There are so many people that want to help. There are so many things that you can do nowadays. Back when I was in it, I didn't think to go to my church or go to, anybody. It was private. It was embarrassing. It was, all those things. And my ex was, a police officer for a while, and then he was a agent. And so there was all this secrecy, and shame festers and grows in secrecy. And so what I would say to your audience is that if you are living a life that isn't in your highest good, that doesn't feel good, you're important enough to say something, and whether it's a friend, whether it's a family member, whatever it is, reach out. You deserve the life that you dream of, and you don't have to stay stuck. Nobody has to stay stuck. And I know some people will be like, you don't understand, Jessie, I don't have any money, or, I don't, all those things. And I went through a period of domestic violence. So I get it when you feel like there's no way out. But here's the thing. It all starts with a decision. We always get stuck in the how, right? The how will passionately reveal itself the minute you decide. When you decide that you are valuable, that you are a masterpiece, that you are magnificent and beautiful and deserving of a beautiful life, when you make that decision, the path will reveal itself. I promise.
You spoke about the pain. Once someone recognizes their pain, how can they transform into something positive?
So it's such a great question. So part of it, let's just go into the past. Okay, we'll come to the present in a minute. But if we go into the past, whenever we've been hurt, right? If you're in a situation right now that is, you're unhappy, you're tolerating, you've normalized pain, it has some connection to a past, right? So if you have, and I talked to my daughter about this, if you have an abusive father, if you are not able to see, you may choose an abusive husband, right? Because there's patterns there, it repeats. So if we go into the past and you say, you went through a lot of pain, you went through a lot of suffering, you went through some really traumatic things, what we are not taught to see is that, yes, that happened. And I'm so sorry that it did. I'm so sorry for your pain. Okay. However, if you are listening to this show right now, you are the gorgeous, gorgeous, beautiful soul that got through it.
Yes.
And part of what we don't understand or what we're not taught is, like, you have coaches that say your past doesn't equal your future, right? Well, I disagree. Your past absolutely can dictate your future if you choose the parts of you that got back up. In the depth of your pain, there's a beautiful soul that had the resilience, that had the courage, that had the determination to go on, that got back up. Capture that, because that is also true about you, right? Yes, it sucked. Yes, it hurt, but you're here. So all I see is a courageous, beautiful being that was able to get through that, because you don't know what you might face tomorrow. When I was building traps to warn me when my father was coming into my room, I could look at that and go, wow, how sad that a little girl had to build traps to warn her, right? Because that's true. That kind of sucks. But what I see is a resourceful, creative, beautiful, brave little girl, because that's also true. One upsets me and makes me feel bad. The other one allows me to see the divinity and the beauty in her. So whatever pain you're in right now, it is the depth of pain that is converse to the height of light within you, the height of power within you. So when people go through a lot, I just see them as God's warriors, right? I just see you as somebody who's like, okay, you signed up. Your contract was that you were going to be such a brilliant light that you had to understand the dark in order to shine. But you have to choose it.
Yeah, speak it. Oh my God, speak it. I feel it. I feel it as I'm doing things back here in the background of things and trying to get ahead. First of all, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for just continue to keep talking and just
Absolutely.
being in the moment. Being in the moment is what I feel right now. My listeners, if you are listening right now, there is a lot of things that's going on behind the scene. You guys know I'm always true and always be very authentic with you and genuine when things are going on. So on my end, we're having technical difficulties. But Miss Jessie Torres, that she actually kind of went on and she went into, I felt it. I felt you going into a space, into an energy mode, and just went with it. And I thank you for that. I truly do. So
Absolutely.
Yes. So what practical steps can our listeners take today if they are ready to start their healing journey today?
Well, you know what's great is that I am actually offering a freebie to your audience, and it is called the 10-Step Guide to Freedom. And in there, it will start to give you practical steps that you can take right now. Number one, control your mindset, control your mind chatter, right? Trust that you are courageous, more courageous than you believe, right? Braver than you think, right? And you can get through a lot, right? I know you've already been through a lot.
Yeah.
Capture the muscle it gave you versus remembering how much it hurt.
Yeah.
I'm not taking away from that, and I honor each of you, but both are available for you to focus on. And my hunch is if you focus on the character building traits that pain gave you, you're going to feel a lot stronger. You're going to see yourself with the power of Wonder Woman. You know what I mean? Because I believe we all have an inner superhero, right? But what happens is not only are we conditioned to notice what's wrong, not what's right, we have a society that's telling us what's wrong, not what's right.
Right.
And in that, it's seductive because it's like, oh, that's what everyone does, right? Oh, that mistake I made back then, I know I was so stupid. Versus, you know what? What if you actually scripted that contract with God, your creator, universe, whatever you believe? You scripted that contract because you knew that forgiveness was your purpose here on earth.
Yeah.
And in order for you to be the light of forgiveness, you had to have something to forgive. And so you took the uppercut. But here's the thing. All I see is a warrior, right? You took the uppercut. Now, when you get on the other side of forgiveness, you are the champion, right? It's that battle of unforgiveness that is poison festering in us. So what if all of those pieces were there to help you cultivate the muscle that you need right now to take one step? Take one step, reach out, get a book, listen to podcasts like Nyomi's that fuel your mind into believing that you can have the life that you deserve.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. Let's do this. Let's take a quick break, and then we're going to come back, and then I have some more questions for you, okay?
Sure thing.
All right. It's your girl, Goddess Nyomi Banks here on the Season of Self-Love podcast, and we'll be right back. What are some common barriers that prevent people from expressing? Hey, it's your girl, Goddess Nyomi Banks here from the Season of Self-Love podcast.
Yeah, I would say remorse. So shame and guilt is a very dividing emotional.
And these are one of the many amazing conversations that we have every day, Monday through Friday, right here on the Season of Self-Love podcast with myself, Nyomi Banks, as well as our resident therapist, Dr. Will Washington of Washington Wellness Institute. Come by.
The reality of our relationships.
Come by.
And a lot of times we're afraid of how people look at us. And so that compassion can't enter.
You can hit us on our website, the Season of Self-Love podcast.com. Let me ask you this, with the truth, is it all right, and thank you and welcome back to the Season of Self-Love podcast. I am your host, Nyomi Banks, and we are here with the beautiful Jessie Torres, and she just helped the sister out.
We got this. We got this.
I love it. So through your entire journey, through the journey, what made you say, okay, I need to do this? I truly need to be a transitional coach. I need to go in, foot first, and just go. And yeah, what made you do that? Go through that.
You know, when you go through trauma, there's a part that wants to make sense of it all, and I think it sparked in me, not only through my own healing, but also when I would talk to people. I always had a heart to help. Like I always wanted to serve. But when I started to I would work for corporate for 15 and a half years, I would go to lunch with girlfriends and I'd just start talking. And all of a sudden they're like, okay, wait, let me write that down, and oh, where do I leave my $10 copay? They would say stuff like that. And I would walk away and I was more inspired than them. Like I walked away going, what happened? Like, so if something I said, something in my story or something, if it sparked a light in them, then, oh my God, all of it was worthwhile, all of it. And it allows me to have forgiveness. It allows me to have compassion for my mother. It allows me to understand the divinity of it all. I believe it's all in divine order for me, not to me. Right. Yeah. And in that, if I'm going to look at that, even my little brother who was murdered a year and a half ago now, after my older brother was murdered 30 years ago, right. It's like, oh my God, I'm like talking to God going, no, check the box. I already did that. Not my little brother. No, I mean, it was like, don't do that, but to be able to look at it all and trust the divine order of it all. And I don't understand. I don't pretend to be God. I can't understand why it is the way it is. Right. But if I look at somebody like John Walsh, who's the guy that started America's Most Wanted,
yes.
He did it on the heels of Adam Walsh, his 6-year-old, being cut to pieces.
Yeah.
Right. The depth of his pain woke up something in him that helped him save thousands.
Yeah.
So I don't know the divine contract that each person has, but I don't look at it as a punishment or it's happening to me. Like, do I wish I could get the memo differently? Yes. Right. I wish I could script it differently, but that's not, somehow it's here for me to capture the good. What's the gift, God? What do you want me to get here? What's the muscle you're calling me to build? Yeah. And allow me to do it. If both my brothers are meant to be taken, what do you want with me?
For me? What am
How do I alchemize this pain into something powerful and beautiful?
Yeah. Yeah. That's something we talk about a lot here on the Season of Self-Love. And we talk about, getting gifts from your trauma, your gifts from your trauma, and also getting past those obstacles, overcoming them. And through overcoming them is what did you learn? When things happen to me right now, I'm like, okay, why is this happening? Okay, pay attention to why it's happening, because I know it's not happening to me. I know it's happening for me. So what am I supposed to learn from this? And when we're talking about healing beyond the betrayal, before I truly start going through this healing process and this self-love process, I was more mad at myself than I was anybody else, because I felt like I know better. I know better. So I felt a sense of betrayal to myself. So for you, knowing that you went through everything that you went through, and I know that you went through a sense to where you felt like you were betraying yourself, how did you overcome that?
Well, that is the power of forgiveness, right? We can't give to others what we can't give ourselves, right? So if I was going to be able to see my divine path as divinity, as precision, perfection, then I had to start with me.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a period of time where I beat myself up so bad that I would condemn myself as a little girl. Why didn't you do more? Why didn't you kick? Why didn't you scream? Why didn't you spit? Why didn't you poke his eye? I mean, I thought, wow, like I was condemning myself as a 5-year-old. You know what I mean? You don't know. Right. And when you wake up and you start to be able to look at the whole divine choreography of your life, and I now can look at her and instead of condemn her, love her, because she still chose to be kind. Yeah. She still chose to get back up. And now she's committed and convicted to serve humanity at the level that she's meant to. I get to love her. And if I forgive her for do those things, and I get to love her purely and unapologetically. And then I get to love my father, and I get to forgive, and I get to forgive my ex, and I see it all as this beautiful choreography for me.
Yeah.
Do with what I can now. I can focus on the victim mentality, which a lot of us are taught that.
Yeah.
Look at what happened to me. I'm not accomplishing my big dreams because don't you know?
Yeah.
Right? And it's just like, no, it's just like there's no limitation to the human being, only the belief that there is one. So if that's true, then I can change my beliefs.
Yeah.
I can see the other side of the story. If you don't look for the gift in your pain, you will only remember the pain.
Exactly. I love that. Yes, exactly. I love that. I love that. All right, so I got one more question for you.
Sure.
How does this healing look like for you now? Like, what does it feel like for you now, especially when you're in those rooms with those people that have betrayed you? What does that look like? What is that feeling?
You know, the first word that came to me as you were asking was love. Love.
Mhm.
Love, because again, it's like it's my script. I get it. No, it didn't feel good, right? No, I wish I could get the lesson differently, but I
Yeah,
love this vessel. I
yeah,
love me, right?
yeah,
And to your point, like, when you get to that point, like, I knew better, right? So
yeah,
wow, so what a nice uppercut you gave me so that I can remember that I need to listen to me, that I
yeah.
need to listen to my inner voice, my inner knowing, and listen to what's happening here and not let it get here and confuse and muddy the water, because your heart will not ever let you hurt another. So if you can really connect to that intuitive guidance, and as women, we have massive intuitive guidance because we process through emotion, right?
Yeah.
But we're always told, you're too much. Why do you care? Let it roll off your back, and so we're taught to move away from that emotional state, which I think our society right now is literally emoting like a loose fire hose.
Mhm.
Right? So all these sensitive, because we don't know how to regulate our emotions.
Right,
And we as women, if we feel something, it does not have to make logical sense. It doesn't have to check all the boxes on the paper. If you
right.
feel it, it is
Yeah,
enough.
yeah, yeah, yeah. When I first thought about doing this series right here, um, and I actually started this creating the outline for the series probably about almost 2 years ago, about a year and a half ago. And
Mhm.
I sat with it for a minute. Um, and I remember going into my meditation room and my altar room and sitting there praying and talking about it. And I remember I wanted to do it for 2025, and it said, no, you got to bring it now. You got to bring it now,
Yes.
because there is a lot of healing that needs to be done, not only from the outside but also from the inside. So all of the other series that I had in season 1, those are great starters, but now we have to go deep down inside, and that's
Mhm.
where that betrayal come from. Betrayal from abandonment, betrayal from abuse. All
Yeah.
of those things is what truly are embedded in our core of our
Mhm.
soul. So for that, it's like, no, you have to go in every day and you have to speak and talk. But not only that, I want you to start to open up and bring in other people and guests so we can hear their story. So my listeners can hear their story so they can find someone else that they can be relatable to, not just this almost 52-year-old Black woman who has experienced life, but also I need to speak to, Latina or a white woman or a
Right.
white man, or a Black man, so giving it more of a voice that
Mhm.
is just not, giving a face to what healing beyond betrayal looks like, if that
Beautiful.
makes sense.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely. What a great
Yeah,
mission you're on.
yeah,
So important.
yeah. And, I was probably about a few weeks ago, I went back home. It's been a minute since I've been back home because I felt some betrayal. Well, I didn't felt nothing. It was betrayal that came from my family. And it took me a long time to go through the healing process of forgiveness for them
Mm.
as well as myself. And I remember sitting in my room and kept getting this message about the ever unfolding rose, is what it's called. The ever unfolding rose, that meaning that you have to allow yourself to stay cracked open. Meaning that, and you said it earlier, it doesn't happen to you, it happened for you. So in that process, what did you learn from that situation that happened with your family? One thing is I learned is that it wasn't about me. Even though it happened to me, that,
Mhm. Uh-huh.
it wasn't. And that's what I come to learn when even having conversations with people and talking to people, really, if they come to me nasty, I know, it's not even about me. This is truly about them and how they feel about themselves and
Totally.
what I did to trigger it or what I did for them, where their self-awareness of themselves is not working. You understand? So
Totally.
for me, going back to home, I knew then is like, I can't go home feeling the way that I'm feeling.
Mhm.
And a few days before that, I had a dream and it was like an S. An S just came up and I'm like, what is that S? And when I finally realized what it was telling me to go. And I went back to the book called Untethered Soul by
Yes.
Michael A. Singer.
Mhm.
And the very part that I went on, because I had started listening and reading it beforehand and had stopped because I was doing other things. And what I came right in on, it was about keeping your heart open.
Mhm.
Stop closing our hearts. Our heart doesn't heal when we close. When someone does something to it, it doesn't close. So in that process, I listened to that for about 7 hours. 7 hours, like a few days before I'm getting ready to go on a plane and go back to Chicago. But I knew it was needed. I
Yeah.
knew it was needed because I knew that I was going to be in the same room with these same loved ones, my family members who had did this to me.
Right.
And then, I was also told, don't bring it to them because that's
Right.
not your thing to bring to them. That's for them to be able to go through that process with them themselves. But what you have to do is when you walk into that home, when you walk into that room, when you walk into that space, you have to lead in love. So when I asked you that question, when you're in front of those people that betrayed you, how do you feel now? And the first thing that you said is love. Love.
Right here. We're like kindred spirits here. I love it. I love
Love.
it. Well,
Yeah.
you bring up such a powerful point, and how I see it now, we say life isn't happening to you, it's happening for you. I say it's also happening from you,
Mm.
right? So we are energetic beings. We
Mhm.
are we are vibrating. Our heart has a beat. That beat is a frequency that's emitted, right?
Yes.
And it emits a chaotic frequency when you're in sadness, depression, shame, anger, rage, whatever. If you have a heart rate variability monitor, I'm a trainer for the Institute of Heart Math. So I love the science that allows the bridge between science and spirituality or energy or whatever. And so when we say from you, it's like, ooh, like when I learned to be a victim, then I would only attract predators.
Mm.
I attract victimizers because that's
Mm.
where I vibrate.
Mhm.
I'm the victim of. So if I'm vibrating and owning the identity of I am a victim of, then more things to prove me right will show up.
Mm. Mhm.
Right. And so it wasn't until I could break that and come to this place of peace where I don't have that in my journey. The only time it ever steps in, it actually would be a family member. And now
Mhm.
I'm sovereign enough to be able to, like Neo, the bullets come, but they stop right here. And I'm just like, oh, that's interesting that, you went there.
Yeah.
I'm going to wrap you in love because guess what? For anybody that's spewing hate or anything that's harmful, remember, if they're spewing it to you, they have to eat that
Yeah.
first.
Mhm.
It's in them
Yeah.
first.
First,
So when
yes.
somebody's mean or somebody's unkind, I'm just like, ooh, I don't know what's going on in there, but I'm going to wrap you in love and compassion right now because for you to go there, you are in some level of suffering, right?
Yeah.
So it no longer penetrates, right?
Yeah.
And I think one of the toughest things with apologies or forgiveness is forgiving the person that never gave you the apology.
Mm.
And as we know that we don't forgive for them, we forgive for us,
Yes.
right? Because living with unforgiveness is like drinking poison every day, right? Expecting the other person to die,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way. We
Mm.
forgive because it purifies us. Remember, we are these beautiful souls having a human experience, right? The human stubs its toe and says, ow. The spirit's like, I'm just here being amazing. I'm just here being amazing. I don't know what this pain thing, I don't know what this doubt thing is. I don't know what any of that is. I'm just here being magnificent. And our journey is understanding our magnificence while having this human experience.
Yeah.
Right. So it's the human that doesn't want to let go. It's the human that says, if I forgive you, then I'm letting you off the hook. No, you're not. Nobody is saying that that wasn't hurtful. I'm not saying what my dad did was right, but I forgive because it purifies me. The soul is pure. The human is the one that holds on to identity, to ego, to, anger or resentment. And that depletes the system. Now your body and physicality is fighting to keep you alive every day. Now it's fighting extra hard because you're drinking cortisol every time you're in unforgiveness or you're in frustration or pain or hatred or disappointment.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Knowing that, your father did, and you right now, you're in your healing mode, you're in your peace mode, you're in that. Have you ever felt the need to go back? And what I mean by this, follow me this one, go back and say, all right, Dad, I understand what happened and I forgive you, but take my hand, let me take you somewhere so you can get healing. Because evidently there's something in his life that caused him to be that way. Have that ever been a notion for you to do?
Such a great question. So my father has passed on. However, I had come to my own resolution and my own forgiveness. And 2 weeks shy of him passing, he had got dementia, he had leukemia, and he would go in and out of, consciousness, awareness or whatever. And ironically, I was there helping take care of him while he, has a catheter on. And I mean, it's just kind of wild, the irony. But as I was sitting there looking at him, he had a lucid moment. And he said, I wish I could have been the father you deserved. And without hesitation, I was able to say, Dad, you were perfect. You were exactly who I needed you to be so I could be who I am today. And I am good. I am good because I am so committed to eradicate shame from this world. I am so committed to helping people out of suffering. And I could see almost like the innocence come back in his eyes, almost like it released him from that angst. And I know that he was able to die with knowing that I had forgiven him. So to answer your question, I was able to have that opportunity with my mom. It is a daily learning for me because, and she's a darling woman. I love her to death. And she's gone through so much. Imagine losing 2 sons to murder 30 years apart. She's had betrayal too. My father was not the angel, right? So I get it, but she harbors so much resentment. She's 84, so she has a lot that it's really, really hard for her to let go of. So in answer to your question, I would love to, and I do what I can, but when I see a complete block and it doesn't matter what I say, it's received in distortion. Because she can only see with the level of her own shame and unworthiness that I just love her. And I had that conversation too with God and the universe at one time when we had a little bit of a blowout. And I'm like, God, where do you want me in this? I don't understand. And the answer was quickly, you're just here to love her. You just love her, right? So there's no changing her, fixing her, doing anything. I offer support and I help explain things for understanding. If it lands, great. If not, I'm not attached to it, but I'm always going to speak forgiveness to her. Because at this stage of the game, and this was very recent actually, it's so hard for her to see where she didn't protect me or where she wasn't there for me. It's so hard for her that she wants me to hate my dad with her. And I just won't. I just won't. And to the point where she said, don't talk to me about forgiveness. And I said, Mom, I love you and I will never stop talking to you about forgiveness.
Because I love you. Exactly. Because I love you that much. Yes.
So it's a constant, but there's only, I'm not, nobody's broken. I'm not here to fix anybody. I'm here to help guide. I love Ram Dass's quote that says, we're all just walking each other home. Right. So we're all just on different parts of the path. And for those that are ready for transformation, that are ready to live liberated and free from the density that sadness, shame, depression, all of that gives you, then let's do it. let's do it. Take my hand and I'll take you there. You know what I mean? But for the others that aren't ready, in fact, I have that on my website. I'm like, 3 reasons to not work with me. Number 1, if you can't be vulnerable, right? Number 2, if you're not willing to let go of the story. And number 3, if you're stuck in the blame game. Those 3 reasons, I love you, but it's just not our time. Right? Because I'm ready for the ones that are ready. And I actually had a whole vision of that. It was a Christ moment, in moments where I was seeking validation and I was seeking this group of people. I wanted to be proud of me and to see me. And I was just like trying to prove myself. Right. And I had this whole download, and it was Christ walking to the crucifixion and the stoners stoning him. And he looks over at them and he says, "Forgive them, Father. They know not what they do." But he kept going. And what I got in that is, had he stopped to convince the stoners, right? Like, no, I'm really the Messiah. I just want to help. You know, if he would have stopped to convince the stoners, he would have missed the millions and billions that were waiting for his blessing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then as he resurrected, the stoners dropped to their knees. Not all of them, but when they did, he just opened armed and welcomed them in. You know what I mean? So when you're ready, I'll take you there. If not, I don't know your contract. I don't know, some stoners were meant to stay there. And maybe their depth of pain was a catalyst to awaken their spouse or their child. I don't know. I'm not here to define everybody's journey. I'm just here for the ones that are ready for that transformation, to get connected to their inner beauty.
Yes. Beautiful. Beautiful. Girl, you spoke to me. It's truly, you really did.
Thank you.
And on that note, I know we've come to the end of the show. This has been beautiful. This has truly been beautiful. It really has. And I thank you. I'm so glad that we are finally able to just connect.
Yes, me too.
Yeah, I truly am. I just want to thank you again for your insights. So we're going to wrap it up. We're going to wrap up this. I encourage everyone that's listening to reflect on your own journey of betrayal and consider how you can start turning your pain into power. And remember, healing begins when you choose to take back control of your story. So Miss Jessie Torres, again, where can they find you at?
They can go to fiercegrace.com. Okay.
Beautiful.
fiercegrace.com. And there you can choose how you'd like to connect with me. If you want to chat, just book a call. It's free, and I'm happy to support you in any way that I can. And then I'll also give you the guide that your audience can have to be free.
Beautiful, beautiful thing. We like free things.
Yes.
All right. Again, my listeners, thank you for tuning in and just sharing this space of healing and hope with us. And Jessie, again, thank you. Thank you for your wisdom and your compassion. And I want you all to remember that you are not alone in this journey. Here's to healing and growing and loving ourselves a little more each day. Until next time, see you later.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Season of Self-Love podcast. If you have any questions or would like to connect with us, you can follow us on social media. Just search for the Season of Self-Love on Instagram. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, feel free to email us at elevateme9999@gmail.com. And remember, you are worthy of love, growth, and happiness. So keep shining bright, and I'll see you tomorrow for another episode of the Season of Self-Love. Be good to one another and yourselves, and always keep it sexy. Send a light, love, and prayers.